government officials, might be opposition people, government persons, maybe judges, maybe magistrates, persons who hold high office. They want to target institutions, they want to target buildings and whatnot. As a result of that, these people have phones and whatnot. So the police got that intelligence. I'm breaking it down again to you. So now they realize now, with that information, they went to the Prime Minister, who's the head of the Security Council. Based on what the Prime Minister saw, she said, you know what, I have to go to the President. After the President being satisfied with the information that was given to her, she decided, based on that information, I will declare a state of emergency. So now you understand, and in fact, look out, download the app and whatnot. All those of you, download the app, and on Ian Alleyne Network on Facebook, Ian Alleyne Network on YouTube, and shortly my studio will be, in fact, I'm going to call my studio for you while I am here live, just to find out what time the press conference is. I'm not the kind of live person. So we know what time. Yeah, what time is the press conference, sir? Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, you can, my studio, remember Ian Alleyne Network, they are on standby right now to carry it live. So we will be carrying it live. So based on everything that I said here, in a nutshell, that's it. Am I right, researcher? So I did well. Okay. All right, so you understand exactly what is going on. So my studio is, my members of staff, they are there right now waiting, but I had to, because some of you frightened, some of you want to know if to shut down your business this morning, if to go to work, if to jump out of the taxi. Because you know people, I mean, it's Trinidad, go, I'm not going away again, I'm not going nowhere, I'm not going to Lime tonight, I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to do that. It is not a curfew. It is not a curfew. It is not a curfew. It is not a curfew, ladies and gentlemen. It's a state of emergency. So the regulations, the police can come into your homes, they can do searches and whatnot, looking for, I'm just breaking it down for you, looking for criminal elements, looking for them. They don't need no warrant, and they will tell you the need, with respect to the regulations, what the police can do, what they can't do. I guess the Commissioner of Police is coming to enlighten the population with respect to the regulations. As you know, I just read the declaration to you where Christine Kala Kangaloo, ORTT, President of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago and Commander-in-Chief, that she said that in the declaration that she stated that, you know, based on what the information that was given to her, as you know, there are threats and whatnot, she declares it. So you can go on and go ahead and work and whatnot. You could go to work, open your business and whatnot. Don't be scared. You know, nobody will break it down for you like how I will break it down for you, and nobody will do that. Nobody will make it very complicated for you to understand. Very, very complicated. But we don't want that. We want how I came on this morning. I know everybody is locked on. Everybody is watching. So you understand. You understand what exactly is going on. So you don't need to be scared. I mean, we're going to see roadblocks. We're going to see stop and search, because it's all part of the state of emergency. It is not a curfew. If things really happen, then it could progress to a curfew. But right now, it is a state of emergency. A state of emergency has been declared by the advice of the Prime Minister to the President. Okay, so it started with the Commissioner of Police and the intelligence work. It came to the Prime Minister, who's the head of the Security Council, and based on those two institutions and all their findings, they went to the President. The President was satisfied and very concerned and said, you know what? Declare a state of emergency. You do what you have to do. You do all these searches. You go to the various persons, these criminal elements where they hide out, the dungeons, the homes, the hotels that they hide in. Go after them. So that is what a state of emergency. So, and in fact, I guess they would tell you about maybe, I don't know if you're going to have gathering and whatnot, public gathering and whatnot, but I more believe it will be similar to the state of emergency that the last administration had. The last administration, when the PNM, when they had a state of emergency, when the same president declared a state of emergency under the PNM administration, it was similar to what we are seeing here. So don't, I mean, you remember it went for a couple months and whatnot, but police could have really do their work. But once, once with respect to the search warrant and whatnot, the SW, as they say, once you have that, you can't do nothing. You really can't do nothing. Your hands are tied. Your hands are tied to really deal with some of these people and them, really go into their homes and deal with them, and do the proper searches and whatnot. Because there are laws with respect to search warrant. There are laws with respect to police officers entering someone's property without a warrant. And what will happen when they do that? When they do that without a warrant, what's going to happen? Persons can sue the state and they can get a lot of money. So now, as a result of the state of emergency, now the police can go with full force. They can go with full force. And it's not a matter they're going to beat people and do this and do that. No, they're not going to do that. If you are not a criminal, you have nothing to hide. If you are not a criminal, you have nothing. If police come by you and check and see what's going on with you, they hear you have a gun, they hear you have this, they hear you have that. It is no surprise, ladies and gentlemen. It is no surprise. So don't be surprised if you have nothing to hide. You shouldn't be upset this morning. People like myself, I am happy about this. I am happy about this initiative. I am very, very happy about this initiative because I know every day we deal with criminals, every single day. And sometimes you get information that these people hiding out here, but there's no warrant. There's no warrant. And you remember, when you have to get a warrant, you have to go to the master of the court. The master of the court, you have to apply. You have to apply. You have to show sufficient information and intelligence that you have gathered why you want a warrant. Why do you want a warrant to go to X house? And by the time you get that, you get that, so that the master of the court gives you that search warrant there. The people don't leave and gone. They don't leave and gone. They don't leave the house because, word will spread. But now, what's happening now is that they could go because as a result of the state of emergency. You don't need no warrant. And again, that is why a lot of people, when the last government, when they had declared a state of emergency, and the president declared a state of emergency, but remember the last government, give the people notice, give them notice, and this is a good way. Don't give nobody notice. Don't give nobody notice. Say, waiting down by the airport, or waiting down Cedars, or waiting at every port of exit. Every port of exit in this country, police should be waiting. They should be waiting by Cedars there. Every port of entry, of exit, sorry. Every port of exit. Every port of exit. So let me see what's happening here. Talk to me. Pardon me? Okay, right, so ladies and gentlemen, I am now tossing to my studio. I know I am now tossing to my studio, and they will carry it live, but now you understand, so there's no need to fear, because I broke it down for you. I put it in a nutshell that the man on the streets can understand. So ladies and gentlemen, have a good day. You be safe. Don't be worried. It's a good. We have to go after the criminal elements, and we have to step up our game. And remember, let's say a special prayer. Thank you again.
and it comes just, what, 2 or 3 months after the last state of emergency ended as well. So, what are your thoughts on that? And also, was the Homeland Security Minister consulted? Did you all have any sort of, one-on-one conversations in terms of allocation of resources, etc., going forward?
All right, so that's a real mouthful. So I'll try to bite it one piece. Firstly, the Homeland Security Minister was absolutely correct when he said that there's no uptick in crime. The crime statistics actually are lower in comparison to last year and year before. So that's a no-brainer. With regards to conversations with the Homeland Security Minister about strategies going forward, strategies are sometimes better felt than spoken about. If I have a crime strategy, I would not want to come before you, the media, and advertise the crime strategy, because then it would come to naught. So there are strategies in play. And with regards to this state of emergency coming on the heels of another, this has nothing to do, absolutely nothing to do, with any particular threat to a politician, any particular threat to any group of persons outside of what I mentioned here to you, that there are a group of criminals in our society, some of them behind bars and some of them on the outside, form themselves into an amalgamated unit of an organized crime syndicate and intent on wreaking havoc on the good citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. I hope that answers your question.
Commissioner, good morning.
Ms. Paul, good morning to you.
Now, the press release from the TTP indicated that there is no curfew in effect, but can you spell out the parameters under which the SOE is now going to take effect? What powers, what can citizens expect, and what powers does the police, law enforcement actually have again now? Additional powers, I should say.
The additional powers of the police, we, as per all state of emergencies, can now enter the premises of persons without a search warrant. And that is one of the key things that we must take into consideration, in particular with this state of emergency and the reason why it was asked for. Curfew. I have decided that that is not an issue with regards. I want the good citizens of Trinidad and Tobago to continue to enjoy their lifestyle without placing any undue sort of strain on them with regards to how they live, and we love to party and we love to socialize and all of that. So I would love to see Trinidad and Tobago continue. The persons who have to be concerned are the criminals, because this is what that particular SOE and the emergency powers geared to and aimed at targeting. So you, the good citizen, and all the good citizens that you know, Ms. Paul, have no reason to fear.
Commissioner, you mentioned just now that you all went to the prisons and would have moved the prisoners, etc., the ones who you think may be involved. The persons who they will be collaborating with on the outside, do you think that, have you all started rounding, have the police started rounding these people up, or do you think by announcing this, they've gotten a head start and they will now be able to go into hiding, etc.?
So since 12:02 this morning, when I received the proclamation, at 12:05, my men already started covert and overt operations throughout the country. So the part with me coming from the prisons was just a part of that. This is not an SOE of reaction. It is an SOE with proaction. So even whilst I was approaching the Prime Minister and the Attorney General to take action, I was hopeful and placed things in position to act immediately.
Mr. Guevara, just by chance, I know you said you made mention that certain persons, gang leaders, were moved from the MSP in Aruca. Is it possible to get a number or even an average number of how many persons were moved this morning?
I will not be giving that information because I do not want to place any particular spotlight and give rise to any particular names being published that I do not want out into the public. We don't want to make these people famous, you know.
No, not necessarily.
Nah, not at
but
all.
If there's an average number of persons, even if you don't want to give the specific number, if it's more than the 12, yeah.
I will hold out from that. I will hold away from that question now. Just know that they are safely incarcerated in a place where communication is now limited.
Commissioner, good morning. James
morning,
Laven,
sir.
CNC3 News. Is there any information that there are members of the National Security Service who are part and parcel of this plot?
That is a very interesting question. And if I was to answer that question and tell you no, I would be lying to you and the members of the public. Because how else would Ms. Martin and her team, almost on a weekly basis, be finding phones inside of the same cells? So there are persons who seem hell-bent on facilitating the communication of these persons with the outside. So by removing them from that environment and placing them in one where they are a lot more secure, I can feel rest assured that that communication link is broken.
No, we have a state of emergency in place now. You said the inmates on the inside will move to a secure location where they can't communicate with others. Why wasn't that enough to address the situation?
Because they have persons on the outside. Remember I said they form themselves into an organized syndicate. Persons on the outside and persons on the inside working together. This is a big money thing, you know. Kidnapping, home invasions, extortions, the infiltration of URP gangs and state contracts. These are the things that they are using to fund. And guess what they're buying with the money? More guns to come after you. And that is what we want to prevent. So I would urge Trinidad and Tobago to work alongside the TTPS in bringing this to some successful closure.
No, I couldn't help but notice on your arm there's a emblem that resembles the Punisher sign. Right? What if
I am not Punisher.
Well,
Just
what
putting that out
if
there.
anything is going to be done or in place to prevent or to mitigate the reports of or instances of abuse of power by the members of the
Let us
National
not be
Security?
presumptive and believe that that is the direction we are going. I want Trinidad and Tobago to feel safe. I don't want to presume that my officers will go out there and abuse the citizens. And if any reports of that come to my attention, I will treat with it. We have processes and procedures in place. There's a DO called 14 of 2008. I almost know it verbatim. Disciplinary processes and procedures. So if you, as a member of the TTPS, should breach 14 of 2008 or any of the departmental orders or other legislation that govern us, policies, procedures, we have processes to deal with that. So fear not, good citizens of Trinidad and Tobago.
Now, will the TTPS be getting support from the Defense Force and will we be getting increased manpower from the Defense Force during this? And also, will the Defense Force have powers of arrest, which is something that normally comes up during a state of emergency?
Yes, the Defense Force officers will have powers of arrest, similar to police officers during the emergency powers regulations. And yes, the CDS and I have spoken. He was present at the National Security Council meeting yesterday, and he has pledged full support for our efforts.
Are you able at this time to identify some of the specific targets that these criminals were aiming after?
So by giving rise to that information, I would then be placing that information into the public, which I don't want it to be. So that is one of the questions that I won't answer.
Now, this intelligence that you would have gathered that about this plot, it was gathered during which period? Or how long ago? Was it just yesterday alone or
Right.
over a period of time?
So over a period of a couple months, bits and pieces of intelligence data came to bear. However, yesterday afternoon, a particular intelligence report came to my attention that had to be brought immediately before the National Security Council. So even though there were existing reports within the sphere of the intelligence data, yesterday's report was the, as they say, the proverbial straw that breaks the camel back. Yes, that's the one.
Now, usually, and on Monday you was on CNC3 News Morning Brew, and you spoke of
Yeah, from Guardian Media. Yeah.
you spoke of post-SOE. There seems to be a rise in criminal activity,
I never
returning
said
to
that.
some level of normalcy, criminal normalcy.
Right, yes.
Right. What, if anything, can or will be done to ensure that this plot that has happened now, after the SOE, that there won't be a continuation?
What, if anything, would be there to what?
To ensure that after the SOE, after this thing has ended, that we won't see a return to this plot, a return to people, members of the national security apparatus bringing in cell phones into these cells, and we're going back, as we like to say in Trinidad, spinning top in mud.
I am hopeful that the persons and the powers that be that have control over the individual organizations can treat with their individual problems, just as the TTPS continues to treat with its own problems, right? And for looking at the holistic view of it, those who are unable to treat with their individual problems, the TTPS will help them. And you know what we will do, right? Nice.
Make a tell me still.
They will face the court. Just as I said, the parents who cannot control their children, we will do what? Confine them. If they can't control the people who work under them, we'll confine them for them too. And the mere fact that I went to that prison this morning, it had plenty room. Plenty room. I saw cells there with 8 and 10 double-deckers empty. So, that room.
Based on the intelligence, is there any connection between this, I want to use the word plot, and the last jailbreak that we had some years ago?
No, there is no information or intelligence to say that there is any link between the two.
And the last SOE, again, was called because of gang violence. Are you satisfied that that was properly dealt with? And are you confident that this state of emergency would properly deal with the scourge of gang violence?
Right, so let me be lucidly clear. The last SOE, as you said, was held to deal with gang violence. This particular SOE is being held to deal with a particular threat, even though it involves persons who have formed themselves into an organized crime syndicate, or I don't want to use the word gang, because it's bigger than a gang when you look at different entities coming together. I do not wish to say that it have any, because it's something totally different. This is a particular threat that I had to approach the National Security Council with, so I want to make that absolutely clear. This has nothing to do with gang violence. Yeah, I see your colleague trying to tell you, hey, pass the mic now, man, you're hogging the mic, boy, what's going on?
Just one question before I pass the mic.
Hold on, you all not working for the same media house?
You mentioned syndicate. Apart from the gangsters are part of this syndicate, could you identify some of the other players without obviously calling names?
So, how can I identify someone without
Name
calling
the
it?
individuals and
You're asking me to name?
the other aspects of the syndicate. We know it'll be gangsters. Who else are part of the syndicate?
Well, you mentioned it yourself. There are persons within even law enforcement that whose names may come up. There are persons who, and I don't want to like to use this word gang, we tend to give it a little rise to, gang. So the criminals outside there who form themselves into these little units and pretending to be bad boys out there, they have a lot of them and they like to give themselves all kind of pretty names, right? They even accused at one point in time, they said the TTPS was a gang, but nah, that is not the truth. We are here. Well, you see, I ain't pointing any fingers, right? That is you, eh?
No, I'm just saying, that was the PCA who said the biggest gang in the country was the TTPS.
All right. Well, I can say we are a group of committed professionals who continue to carry out our functions as it relates to the public.
Any businessmen or politicians part of this syndicate?
No, you're looking for me to call names. Next question.
Mr. Commissioner, you've been very specific in your wording, and you've said that the SOE is necessary to combat a particular threat.
Particular threat.
The Constitution allows after the declaration 15 days. It may be without going to the House. So it may be preemptive to ask, but I still have to ask, is it that you have a time frame in mind to treat with this threat? As you mentioned, it's a particular threat that you're dealing with. And
So-
do you expect to be done within the 15 days, or you may have to go back?
So this is a very fluid situation, and as I mentioned before, at 12 last night is when I collected this document, and I've been up since then. So it rolls. I was in the prison this morning, I was in other places, so it is fluid. I cannot give rise to a particular sunset date on this, but I can tell you the decision to put a sunset on this does not rest with the TTPS or the Commissioner of Police. It rests elsewhere. And I know I would be saying, I like to say that is somebody else's responsibility, but yeah, it's really somebody else's responsibility, right?
Commissioner, you've spoken about the fact that this organized syndicate is big business for them. Can you say whether or not the kidnapping of Sati Karim is in any way connected to this or is part of this?
I would want to be very cautious and not give rise to pointing any particular fingers, especially since the young lady is still in the hands of kidnappers. So let us stay away from that aspect. But you will be updated accordingly.
And well, just touching on that quickly, we saw on social media a buzz earlier this week with reports that there was a proof of life video, etc., that was sent to the family. I'm not sure if either you or probably Ms. Martin and DCP I.A.N, able to give an update on that particular investigation.
So I was hoping to keep this press briefing about the SOE and not stray into other realms. So let's try to rein in the questions and stick with what I'm sure the public want to hear about. Whether or not they could go out tonight and have that cool beer on the avenue, whether or not they could go and have the beach lime, whether or not the little house lime still on over the weekend. So let me stick with that one. I would not want to go down the realm of that. We could treat with that after.
Commissioner, lastly, there's a copy of a proclamation circulating online. Can you see whether or not that is in fact the proclamation that was issued?
I have not seen that copy of the proclamation that you are speaking about circulating online. I can say the proclamation I was given, I have it in my hand. I thought I heard you say last question. That is what you said, right?
Yes.
See, nice.
And Commissioner, you are quite right to say that she did indicate that that was the last question for members of the media. Again, we thank the Commissioner of Police, Mr. Guevara, Deputy Commissioner of Police, Mr. Williams, Deputy Commissioner of Police, Ma'am George, Deputy Commissioner of Police, Ma'am Martin, and of course, members of the media for taking this information to the national public. We thank you. Remember, if you see something, say something. Dial 999-555-800 tips. This ends our press brief for today. Have a safe and wonderful weekend. Thank you.
So I hope you all will take my invitation and join me to see my hard-working officers be commended for taking guns off the street. He take up all of the time, eh?